let me ask you this question because I've asked quite a few people this question. Matter of fact, I asked Bucky Richardson this question. So Bucky's got a son who is a senior in high school now, who's committed to Oklahoma State as a wide receiver, which is a big deal. You've got a son, I think, who is playing college basketball right now. Is that true, Romello?
Yes.
So tell us, and you were a high level athlete. You were probably around a bunch of parents that in youth sports it could get a little crazy, and then you're probably around parents that never show up. And so, as a high level athlete, Joe, what did you do in terms of encouraging? Your son's name is Romello, right?
Yeah, Romello.
What did you do to encourage him, to give him that spark? Like, how did you think of raising an aspiring athlete?
Well, I want you the words encouragement with Romello. So when you a former athlete like me, because every time you go somewhere, kids, people always say, "Oh man, that's your father. When he played at A&M, he was like this." So my big thing that I did with Romello, Brian, and I preached to him this from day one was just be who you are.
Yeah.
Just be you.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure. Well, there's a lot of pressure on the kid to always hear that his father was a great basketball player, his mother was a great basketball player. So what I did was I took that pressure off Romello as best as I could.
Nice.
I like Romello, man, just be the best you can be.
Yeah.
And so I always encourage him to just be you, son. And and sometimes I think they played against him because people used to see him and be like, well, you don't have the same dog mentality that your father had. But hey, you understand, it's a whole different generation too, So
no doubt, man.
But I tell him all the time, Brian, I'm proud of you. I tell him all the time, I say, son, you don't have to score one bucket. You don't have to play 1 minute of college basketball, but you will be a very respectable young man.
That is awesome. But Bucky said the same thing. Bucky said, when my son comes home, I'm just his dad. I'm just telling him I'm proud of him. Yeah.
So I'm gonna raise you the same way my father raised me. At the end of the day, I don't care if you work at McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? I mean, not against anybody who work at McDonald's or Walmart or Exxon or Shell. Yeah. But you will be a respectable young man. You will carry yourself in a great way, and you will not embarrass my last name. Well, so other than that, hey, the basketball career don't mean anything to me. Yeah. Like I tell my son every day, you don't have to score not one bucket to me. I'm gonna love you regardless.
Nice. Well, you said something earlier there, Joe, in that comment that I've searched for a little bit and talked to some of my friends about, and that is, you did have a hard-nosed mentality, and you know what? So did I. As a matter of fact, I got in a fight with Tony Baroni Jr. as a walk-on during practice because and Tony's a friend of mine. Tony Jr. is a friend of mine, but I had that attitude, and I think it came from the way I was raised by a single father. So I had this kind of killer mentality. I mean, when I stepped on the court, man, I was coming to get you. And so I worry, sometimes a little bit. I don't know if worry is the right word, but I think about Romello and my kids. I got 2 boys and a girl. They've grown up in with some privilege, with more privilege maybe than I had growing up, and maybe same with you. And so, for me, and maybe for you, and you tell me if I'm thinking about this right, you kind of had this fire in your belly, this kind of intensity. And so I sometimes I wonder where kids that grow up in a privileged environment get that intensity. My dad used to say, the people I respect the most are people that come from nothing and make something of themselves, and the people that are given a lot and take advantage of the opportunities they're given. Because if you're given a lot, sometimes it's easy not to take advantage of those opportunities. So have you ever thought about where it was that Joe Wilbert's mentality came? Where did that intensity come from?
It came from my brother Milton, my older brother Milton.
Okay.
My brother Milton did not let me back down from anyone in our neighborhood. He never accepted me coming in second place. He just never accepted me just losing. So my brother Milton, my older brother, he played an important role in that. he made the guy that I am today as being tough and being gritty. And my brother was the smallest guy on the block, but he was the toughest one. Nobody did mess with him.
How could he be the smallest guy on the block? You're 6'6", aren't you?
Yeah, I know, but he's real skinny. He got a small frame on him, but nobody did mess with him. So my brother Milton was my, he was my hero. He was my Superman. He was my role model. He was all of that until I got older in life. As from a standpoint of being Coach Barry Davis took over as being my, my physical role model at the time. And then Brian, I had both my parents in the house, my mother and father.
Yeah.
But as a kid, you think your parents and mothers is always on you. So with that being said, my brother Milton, he raised me. Then plus I came from East Park, my neighborhood. Well, back then, Brian, we played, and you know this. So when you lost, hey man, you might well go home because you're not coming back up until 2 or 3 other more games. And
yeah.
That might be 30 or 45 minutes. So
yeah, for sure. I hated that, man. I did not like losing those pickup games.
But Brian, so the best advice I can give you about your kids, and probably Bucky told you the same thing, is just leave that alone. Yeah. They are not going to have our mentality. So you might as well just enjoy how they are. Let them get it for themselves because trust me, that was one of my mistakes that I made with Romello starting out. Yeah. It's like, Romello, you need to do this.
Yeah.
Don't let him score again. Then it was more like, Joe, that's not his mentality. So so that's your mentality. So that's really why I stopped training Romello. I stopped training him.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be his father, not his trainer.
Yeah.
So
there's a difference too between the two.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between the two, right?
Yeah, because I get in the car, like we come from training, and then we in the car talking. Then I might get on about something in training. So we in the car, we quiet, we ain't talking. He ain't talking to me. I'm not talking to him. I'm mad at him. You know what I'm saying? Vice versa, he mad at me. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I want to enjoy my son last 3 years of basketball. So after his freshman year, I left him alone.
Nice.
I just said, hey, look at. So I sat back and I stayed a father, and it was the best decision I made. Not saying that I couldn't do both of them, but I just know how I am, and then I knew it would just play the issue because his mom used to always be like, "Well, ease up off of him." And I was like, you know what? I think it's best for us, for me to be a father and just watch him play, and I enjoy every moment of it.
I had some times with my oldest son, who was a very, very good basketball player when he was in middle school. He just found out he made the varsity basketball team Memorial, which is pretty big deal because they got 2,000 plus students, only 5 juniors made it. But the head coach at Memorial used to say, listen, parents, just be their parents when they get home, because they're getting an earful from me every day in practice. They don't want to come home and get an earful from their dad. And so it took me a little while to realize that, because I kind of did the same thing you did, Joe. I mean, there were some times in middle school where I thought my son was playing like a wimp, and I'd get on him and I'd say, man, you got to get tough. I remember I took him to an AAU tryout one time that I don't think he was prepared for. He was the only white kid in the gym. He had never been as part of this program. These kids are out there. They're really good basketball players. They're super intense. And he wimped out and he literally walked out of the gym. I had to go get him in the parking lot. He's like, Dad, I don't want to do this. I said, no, you're getting back in there. You're going to finish this. You don't have to come back, but you're going to finish this practice. Yeah. And you know what? He went in there and he kicked ass. He did really good. So, but nowadays, it's to the point now where I'll bet like Romello, and my oldest son, his name is Augustus. We call him Gus. He's gotten to the point now where his motivation comes from inside. It's not coming from his coaches or his parents. It's coming from him, which I think is the best kind of motivation, right?
Exactly.
So if you're telling your son, do this, do that, do this, do that, they're naturally, especially if it's your dad, they're going to push back a little bit, right?
Yeah, then plus, like I told his mom, I'm gonna start pushing him because this might be something that Romello don't want, but I want for him.
Exactly.
So I wanted to make sure. So I stopped. Like, so let me give you a prime example. His mother used to always, Joe, well, why you haven't shot with Romello in the last 2 weeks? Because you have not called me and asked me to shoot with him.
Yeah, exactly.
Because now, if I call and say, Romello, let's go shoot, guess what So now he probably going somewhere where he don't want to be at the moment.
Yeah.
So that's the things that I did with him was I tell you know what, until he called me, so we're not going to go shoot. Because bro, sometimes as parents, we push stuff on our kids that they don't want.